Dietary here, and in this video I'm going to give some of my tips based on my experience on parking in a good spot. If you're on the road, maybe you're what some people might call homeless, although I don't really think that term is really all that mindful to use, but for whatever reason you may be on the road, male or female, in either a vehicle or an RV or something else. I remember going back to Portland back in March of 2014. And I went back to a city that was my own hometown. Long story short, found myself without a place to live, found myself without any work in a city that was undergoing massive gentrification and a housing crisis from all these people moving to my hometown at the same time. So I got a little practice back then, starting out with, for a good several months, living in the back of my truck, 1985 pickup truck, Toyota, and I put a canopy on the back of it. Had a friend help me bolt it down. It's pretty primitive. So, initially, even though I'd already lived off the grid briefly in Colorado, and I had a lot of, some survival knowledge and experience, I didn't really have a whole lot of experience living in my vehicle. And so pretty much right out of the gate, mind you, without even having shades up or any privacy measures in the canopy, just a slight tint, I started out parking in public spaces and places like Laurelhurst Park and other places where I can get a little cover from the trees, a little shade. So at night when I park there, when people walk by, of course, parking in low light spots, also being sensitive to light and energy and buzzing and things like that, not to mention smart meters and cell phones. A lot of that stuff for me personally has played a huge role in where I park my vehicle. Also being sensitive to energies, things going on in houses. I would oftentimes get the vibe that someone was aware that I was there, and things like that are factors that I look at, whether or not I can park somewhere and pretty much be invisible, not be someone that is an annoyance to the person that owns the house. Portland, for example, gave me a lot of experience dealing with people that basically didn't want you around, didn't want to help you, homeless people being viewed as crazy, not a real understanding of A, what's going on economically, or B, people opting out from the slave system because, they want to do what they want to do with their time, and they're not going to be someone else's slave. So there's a lot of us in that situation that are seeking our own freedom. And so we've been going through some growing pains along the way. And a big part of that experience, though, is being able to have a vehicle that you can live in, that's yours, of course, that's legal, when you can't afford your own land. Or if you look at the situation in Costilla County, where you have changes in the land use code that prevent people from living in their vehicles, which is known as camping to some local governments, although I think of camping as something a little different. But we're seeing this war on off-the-grid living increasing, and so, the conversation of stealth camping is very important for a lot of different people. I think it's become more of a trending topic on YouTube in recent years as more people have lived in their vehicles. And so, I want to kind of share some of the things that I have learned from the urban experience, parking in Portland, the off-the-grid experience, living in Costilla County, traveling from Portland to here, and, some of the things that I'm learning now, some of the things that I think work, and some of the things that I think don't work. First of all, if you find a great off-the-grid spot, it may not be the best thing to do a whole lot of YouTubes about it, because eventually the local authorities there and officials may want to prevent more people of lower income status from going out there. They may use excuses. You don't have a well, you don't have a septic, your home isn't over 600 square feet, which just kills the whole tiny home idea. So they'll use various excuses, but ultimately they're trying to prevent people from living there without paying a high amount of taxes. So they want people in big homes, nice homes. As far as parking's concerned, as a sensitive person, sensitive to energy, cell phone towers, smart meters, I like my space. And so, over time, it gets easier to start picking out the spots that are decent. Some people use the term boondocking. I don't have a lot of experience parking in the National Forest or on BLM land, but it's been recommended that I do that multiple times, and I know that I'm in a good area. I'm in a decent part of the country for investigating more of that. There's certain areas where there's going to be a lot more homeless and a lot more people living in their vehicles because the climate may be something that they like. Right now, I'm in an area that's known to be one of the coldest areas during the winter in all of North America. I've actually learned to adjust to it. I'm actually getting sleep. My Mr. Buddy heater is actually just enough in my RV, as thin as my walls are. I've added some insulation to the windows. Although that isn't much, it has made somewhat of a difference. And because I can afford the propane at an average price of, propane costs are important when it comes to, where you're going to be. Because some areas it's going to be a lot more, maybe $25 to replace that tank. Maybe a lot more than that. In the area that I'm at now, it's between $15 and $17, sometimes less. There's actually a co-op where it's like $13. That may be a lot cheaper than where you're at. And so for me, it's a trade-off. Yeah, it's colder, but I've picked a place where, believe it or not, I'm parked really close to a major big box store, if you will. And it's because it's the winter, and it's because, it's not really a well-known spot or heavily, traffic spot, that I'm not competing for other people in their RVs for a parking space. Thus, I've picked a spot less off the radar. Now, that actually may take some time and energy and really a clear head and maybe a little intuitive knowing, because actually my intuition was telling me to investigate this area months ago, and I was thinking there can't be anything behind there. It's a big box store. Sometimes right behind big box stores, you might find a strip where there's no houses, where you won't be parking in front of someone's house, which is something that I don't like to do at all anymore, because I did it a few times in Portland and it really, really sucked. There were oftentimes situations in Portland where, you can't park right next to that park per se. Some you could, most you can't. And so in Portland, it was a situation of being forced to pick, like a dark alleyway or somewhere quiet, or, best case scenario, park in front of a house where no one lives there. So no one's going to complain. No one's going to notice you coming and going. And in that situation, I did not have a bathroom in my vehicle or a teardrop camper. So I would have to come and go, come and go, come and go. And so in that situation, it was definitely a practice of my ninja skills. With the RV, it was a major upgrade because everything's in one situation. Everything's in-house, from the internet to my power. I have new golf cart batteries. So, even in the winter, most days I'm still getting enough power from the sun to run my computer. In the summer, there's going to be a lot more energy. And so the thing is, my gear is improved. My vehicle is improved. My finances have improved. So my situation has improved over the course of a year. I also want to say that it's through this YouTube channel that my life improved, not through any other means. And the people that have helped in my life, it's come through people that I've met through my YouTube channel. It's come through my activism. Even if I met one person through another, it's all been through this YouTube channel. It's all been about documenting my travels, that I've met the people that I've met and people that have reached out. So that's why I'm doing this video and kind of expanding on this concept, some things that have worked for me. And I have a lot more to experience when it comes to stealth camping. And stealth camping is somewhat important to not be totally on the radar because, I like my energetic space. So I don't like to be in an area where I feel like I'm an annoyance, where my RV, is frowned upon. I want to be invisible. And so being in an area where there's not a whole lot of RVs, sometimes that, is a concern. Like, wait a minute, I hope they're not running people off. I hope the police aren't harassing people. Sometimes it's really just a matter of there's no one else up there at that moment. There are no other RVs, or there's no, people living in their RVs because they have to in the winter that have chosen to remain in that area. Some people that do live in their RVs year round, they go south for the winter. And I've just chosen to hang around this general southwest area, northern New Mexico, southern Colorado. And so I've had my fair share of experience in the town that I'm in now. And there's some parts of this town where the vibes are really nasty. And I parked in some areas by a hospital, for example, or maybe I'm picking up on that ghost energy, but it's like, well, somebody could really fall into despair if they pick a really bad area, if they're really sensitive. So these are things to take into consideration. Areas that feel good to you, areas that it's quiet enough for you to sleep. Some areas have a lot of traffic where it's really loud. An ideal situation is an area where you have space around you. It's quiet, not a whole lot of, cell phone towers, not very populated, maybe a park nearby, maybe an open space, where you're not surrounded by technology like I am right now. And there's a couple other spots that I've identified where I can go and I can just be in my RV for hours throughout the day. I may not be able to park there overnight, like say, certain parks or a wildlife refuge, although some you may be able to, but there are signs saying don't. But places like that and other places, even if it's a parking lot with, a lot of concrete, if there's a lot of space around you, that can really help. What also really helps is joining a gym and going to the sauna in conjunction with a healthy diet, which I'll get to in a minute. But I really miss that. I miss going to the sauna, and I've done a lot of Googling recently looking for a workout gym so I can start getting, I feel like pumping iron right now. I feel like being in the sauna every single day for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, just drinking water. I'm drinking tea all day, although I just accidentally kicked over my cup. And as far as health, what really helps in the thinking process and in dealing with stress is to cut back your caffeine usage, cut out coffee, cut out sugar, and quit smoking if you can. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I'm trying to do for myself. I'm trying to really quit smoking and stay off the cigarettes and stay off the coffee, because I think that shit just fucks me up. That's trashing my body. And, dopamine, the dopamine we get from that sugar rush, yeah, when we're down and out about living in our vehicle, we may reach for that extra candy bar. And I got in the habit of doing that even longer than I was living in the RV. This goes back, this habit, a couple years. And when you see it, they all affect the heart, contribute to heart disease, not to mention the stress and weakening the immune system and the nutritional aspects and depletion. It really gets one thinking about the need to be healthy in mind, body, and spirit when one is traveling. So it's necessary to get enough sleep. And I mentioned that when I first got the canopy on top of that truck, when I was really going primitive before in the vehicle, in the truck, before I got the teardrop camper, I wasn't even putting up curtains, so I wasn't getting enough sleep. I was really stressed out, and I was smoking, and I was in a city where the energy there was affecting me, which is why I spent a lot of time when I was in Portland looking for natural areas where I can just go and be and maybe do a radio show or a podcast with my computer in the the homemade teardrop camper that a friend at the time helped me build. But ultimately, that wasn't adequate for what I needed, the teardrop camper, but it was a start. And Portland, even though it was my hometown and I did alternative media there for years and an Access TV show, it wasn't a place for me to remain. I identified a place where I would be physically healthier because I already scoped out the spot, and that was southern Colorado. So as soon as I had the RV, I came to a spot where, yeah, for now, things are not great because I'm not able to buy land in the county that I wanted, because the county has slammed the door in the face of lower income new residents that don't, have the thousands to buy the septic. They now require things that they didn't before. So you could say I was a few years late. But despite that, you see the sun's coming down. We're closer to the sun. We're at a higher elevation. And despite some of the crime in this town, the fact that I might stick out like a sore thumb doing this video right now behind this big box store, it's still a healthier experience. And so drinking water instead of all that coffee and all those sodas, some people like to drink those big sodas. I'm trying to get away from the fructose. I'm actually getting a lot more serious about that, and eating more quinoa and healthy things in my diet, eggs, eating breakfast in the morning, and seeking to be more active. Right now, I'm doing kind of a unique thing and trying to work for myself with this YouTube channel. By the way, if you want to donate to this channel, there's a link down below. And I really appreciate those that have donated recently. There were 2 donations that came in yesterday, first donations in months. And I'm looking at doing more commentary on a lot of different things on the road wherever I go. And this becoming more so my way of life as I adapt to this way of life, as opposed to being someone else's slave. For other people, it's a really good thing if you can hold down a job and get a warehouse job, if that's your thing, and it's working for others and just getting enough money to get by, and you're not running a YouTube channel. It could be great to be living in your RV and to work nearby and to save that money and that money not go to rent. So if someone could master the art of stealth camping and they can bust ass working 40 hours a week or 50 or 60, or man, if you want to go the distance, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, a man can save enough money for his plot of land. I'm actually open to certain things. If there's somebody in a certain industry that may be watching this YouTube video who lives in southern Colorado, or maybe a property that you may want me to watch. From now on, by the way, I don't tell people what city I'm in unless it's just a random travel through thing. Not if it's a place that I'm residing in. Not if it's a place that's special to me. Because the sabotage that I've seen, I'm no longer going, hey, I'm at this specific spot. It really doesn't matter. It's more about the experience. It's more about the stories. And so, whatever you need to do for you, if it's working for yourself, with your computer, like it is for me, great. Or if it's working for others and making $1,000 or $2,000 in a month, saving all your money and living in your vehicle, that's fine too. Or going beyond the fear of living without money and adapting to a lifestyle where you don't need all that money, to where you're closer to nature. And a lot of people opt for that way of life as well. And there are some very important lessons that we can learn about life and relationships and the value of human beings over money. When we, even for a temporary period of time, be it a few weeks or a few months, we go and we live without money. And there are different aspects of our society where people will go out and they will do that. They will go and they will live without money. And they may not do it their whole life, but they may do it for a period of time. So they tap deeper into their own potential. Sometimes people are forced to create something or tap into that, that array of gifts that they have, if they're not able to just lean on money and the power of money and the almighty dollar. And so we really can work more on ourselves during those moments. So, getting back to our main topic, advice on stealth camping. Whatever the situation, you want to be healthy in mind, body, and spirit. You want to know where you're going in this life, even if you don't know where you're going that day or that week. It's not really important to know where you're going that day or that week or that month, but it is important to know where you're going in this life. So I have now transcended the pain in my heart of not having a home and not really having family to speak of or near me. There's been a lot of falling out with the people that have, myself and the people that brought me into this world. Long time ago, in fact. I've also held on a lot of that pain as well. And so, this is a time of transcending that pain. And transcending the pain of not having family to go back to. I'm more or less filled with hope. It's like I'm in between worlds. It's like, there was a period where the Pilgrims went west and they settled. And that's in my ancestry. The people that came and they settled in Oregon on my mother's side. And there's, of course, my father that migrated to the United States in 1967 who met my mother. So he traveled a great distance. There's no need for me to remain in Oregon. There never really was. The whole planet really is ours. We belong to the planet belongs to ours. Not to get too occultic with you, but as above, so below, the interconnected reality. We are of the earth. We're on the earth at the moment, like it or not. The country is ours to explore. The earth is ours to explore. And we should be able to explore this wonderful earth. And so even though a lot of people didn't understand it, I knew that even though there'd be some hardship living in my RV and it's cold here in the winter, that southern Colorado / northern New Mexico haven't really been attracted to areas beyond that. This experience is an experience that is working for me. And having been through what I've been through in Portland, I feel like I've learned a lot. I feel like I have some of this knowledge to impart. And so healthy diet, not adding more stress to your life, getting the sleep that you need, drinking water, again, cutting back on coffee, adding a few more things, living a moral lifestyle or a healthy lifestyle. When you're trying to be healthy, be careful that you don't lay down with fleas, if you know what I mean. There may be situations where you need to exercise some better judgment in terms of the company that you keep. You may be very lonely. You may do some certain things that you may not normally do. You need to use your intuition. You need to work on that to make the right decisions with the friends, with the men and women that come into your life when you're lonely. I've learned in my travels that sometimes it's better to find that Zen space by yourself than to get involved with bad situations. But I haven't closed down my heart and said, for example, I'm not going to get involved with any couples because of the crazy couples that I've met in the past. It simply means I need to use far more discretion. It means I need to use far more discretion. And so in my own life, it's really been about the path to ultimate independence, to not need anyone, to have all the power and finances that I need. The money that I need to raise will come through this channel from people that want to donate to my work. That is where my revenue is going to come from. Doesn't matter if my AdSense has been cut in half and under attack because of what I talked about, the Burns organ psyops. Doesn't matter. I've seen what I've been able to manifest in the past, and I'm aware. I feel like I'm aware of the positive impact that my videos are making right now on some of the people out there, despite the challenges that I face. I think it's important for single men when they're in a world where some men or some women, some men and women, a lot of them, will judge them because of their economic status, for you to let go of the desire to be loved by them. And that's really important. If that means not going to the bars, for some men, not going to the strip club, not pursuing certain women, not contacting certain ex-girlfriends. You may even, on Facebook, find some people blocking you or defriending you because you're sharing about what's going on with you. And that's just a reality of the world that we live in. And this is a fairly unconscious culture and society, so some people are going to be affected by that. And the illusions of separation, racially, class, and amongst what people believe when it comes to spirituality or religion. So we're a society that's divided as it is. And it's just important to keep that in perspective and not take it personal. Do not take it personal when you're dealing with people's programming. Now, I'm going to elaborate in another video that'll come soon how to deal with a fairly unruly, unconscious society. Whether you're, just, a regular person or you're living in your RV or your car. And how do you mindfully, walk through a crazy world like this and still have a spirit and not be broken? I understand that feeling when people say, I don't want to live in this world anymore. How do we walk through this world without despair? How do we contribute something to such an insane matrix? But we'll save that topic for another time. But it is something that I want to bring up. That people need to know where they're going in this life, to maintain that hope, to maintain that sense of zen and peace, to be grateful for the basic things that they have, especially if they've been able to have something more than the basic things, that will keep them warm, fed, enough water to drink, the basic things. But, that's not necessarily enough to hold back the stress of, say, not having a regular residence. So there's really an art form to traveling around America and living in poverty. in a world or in a country where they act like there's a war on poverty, but there's really a war on the homeless. Not a war on homelessness. There's a war on the homeless. There's a war on the poor. There's a war on off-the-grid living. So there's ways that we can adapt. And I think that sharing what we're going through using social media like I am now is a big part of that. Never before have men and women living in their vehicles on the road, never before have we had such easy access to technology and to affordably, if not for free completely, upload it to YouTube or other social media networks, or to share it in text format, or to run a WordPress blog. I mean, I run like 4 websites right now, and I have a part-time job working for somebody else, which is also a plus that I've been able to enjoy for the last year. And so, yeah, I'm going to continue to use this YouTube channel to better my life and work towards my goal of owning land in this general part of Colorado. I'm also talking to a female who's not currently in this nation, but she's on this continent. And, you know, there may come a time in this next year where me and her meet. And I want to work towards having the very means to provide a home for her if and when she does come here to visit. And that's why, of course, I encourage people that want to contribute to use that PayPal link down below, or go to alexanthony.tv/donate, and you can make a contribution of anything that you want to donate to this channel. Or, best case scenario, you can sign up and become a regular monthly contributor at $5 a month, $25 a month, or $100 a month. That aside, I appreciate everybody watching this video, and I'll be back with more. Alex Answer here, signing off from Southern Colorado, January 30th, 2016. Looking at the sun in the sky and waiting for the snow to fall. There's snow in the forecast, and it's about to go down.